Fast money got me caught up in that limelight. $100 around my neck so I can shine bright. Fast money got me caught up in that limelight. Keep that llama on my hip to get your mind right. Oh yeah, I put that on my gang. I put that on my gang. I put that on my gang.
What's up, everybody? Big Herc, and you're tuned in to an episode of Fresh Out Lifestyle. That's right, this ain't life after, this is Fresh Out the Lifestyle. You don't have to go to the pen to be an OG or to be somebody who has respect. A lot of times if you didn't go to the pen, that means you were smart. So, we want to go in a new direction, and this is our first episode, and we got the homie Big Court right here. You know what I mean? Very successful young black man doing his thing, ain't never been to the pen, and he has a hell of a story to tell. So I want to get some insight from him on how he did it and how he made it to where he's at, and let you guys tune into some very positive information. Big Court, tell the people a little bit about yourself, like how you grew up.
Man, well, I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, from the neighborhood that they call the faux block with two C's, what I mean? So you know how that go. I'm just a Midwest boy, just with a Midwest sensibility. Kansas City is a moderately, big city. We about 600,000 population. So, but it has its challenges. We had to go through the crack era and the gang banging and all of that too. So, that's pretty much, where I got my start. So
as far as like your childhood, man, could you describe that to us a little bit? Because, a lot of kids, growing up in today's era, they face with a lot of different challenges, whether it be trying to play sports or trying to hustle.
Right.
I mean, what were some of the things you went through as a youth?
Well, you know what? I mean, my story is it's not unique in a sense, but I mean, I'm an only child, by my mother. So I grew up an only child. I was raised by my grandmother and my mother. And, I didn't grow up with any siblings. My father wasn't, around like that. And I think it's just, my mother, she was a strong woman. So she gave me that balance of love and discipline, cause it's funny because I grew up hearing, she would always tell me, look, I ain't raising no pussies. You know what I mean? I grew up hearing that. So my mother, she would dote on me and kiss me and all of that. But at the same time, she would like still on me, tell me, do something. You know what I mean? So she put that aggressiveness in me and that, tenacity. And so it was, coming up in Kansas City, it was, I didn't have to deal with bullies and different things like that. I take that back. One time I did. But again, it's the way you're raised. My mother, raised me to be a man. So I was in elementary school, and this kid, he was in like maybe high school at the time. So, that's a big, gap. And so he wanted to take my fat laces. He told me he was going to take my fat laces.
I remember the fat laces.
You know what I'm saying? And so I had some suede Pumas. I spent all night trying to, lace these Pumas straight across. You know what I'm saying? So he said he's going to take them. So I took the long way coming home, and my mother was like, what took you so long? So she could tell something was wrong. I was like, man, Chris said he was going to take my fat laces. Man, my mama got so mad at me. She took me out to the garage, got me this board. She said, okay, you take this to school with you tomorrow. And she said, when Chris tried to take your fat laces, you hit him upside his head with it. She said, you'll never back down from nobody. So I had to do that for like a week. You know what I mean? And she waited at the corner for me. You know what I mean? Like, what happened? You know what I mean? So, but anyway, she instilled that in me, but education was always a focus too, so I always did well in school. She just made me really well-rounded, you know what I'm saying? So education was always a focus. But see, my mother always put in me that I could do anything I wanted to do. I promise you, like that's where that comes from. Like there was never a boundary there. If I told her I wanted to be president, she'd have been like, yeah, you could do that. If I said I wanted to be a police officer or a basketball player, yeah, you could do that. I mean, and not just saying it, but really like, no, you could do that.
A lot of positive reaffirmations.
Yeah, so, and the funny thing about it is my mother passed away in 2010. So there was this insurance packet that she gave me probably, maybe 7-8 years prior to her death. And I never opened it, the life insurance, thing, the papers and shit. I never opened it. So probably about a year after she passed away, because I didn't even deal with all that. My old lady, she dealt with the funeral stuff. So I actually just looked in there, and it was a note that she wrote me, You know what I mean? Like probably 12 years prior to that. And it was like, man, remember what I told you? You could always do whatever you want to do.
Tight.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's tight.
And, you know, so anything that I've always, you know, set my vision on, I pretty much went after, you know. So half the battle is just showing up. You know, I learned that early, you know, because I had aspirations of doing different things as you're finding your lane in life. You know, there was a time I wanted to play basketball. I was really good in basketball. So I thought I was going to go to the NBA. There were times where I was into bikes, you know.
Yeah, I remember I was on bikes. Yeah, everybody BMX.
Yeah, I was into BMX, and I was one of the only kids in the hood that was really kind of doing that. I mean, a couple of my friends, but I was I was even thinking like an entrepreneur then, you know, because I was thinking I could draw really well. So I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to sign with GT. I was like 12 years old. I'm going to sign with GT. I'm going to get sponsored by them. Yeah. And then I'm going to get some money. And then I'm going to make my own bikes. I'm going to design my own bikes.
That was a dream of mine too.
So I'm thinking of this at like 12, 13 years old, you know. So, and this is in the hood, you know. And I was actually pretty good. I was in the newspaper at that time. There was a little story they had did on me as a kid because I was proficient in that, you know what I mean? So they was just saying, you know, how the BMX craze and, you know, was tapping into the hood. So I was doing something positive back then, you know, so.
And how did you avoid a lot of the traps as far as, you know, getting caught up with the wrong crowd? Because I know that was my biggest downfall, man, is associating with dudes. And then you don't realize till years later that, damn, man, you know, even though I had positive, I still was attracted to that. I mean, how did you avoid a lot of that?
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you, Hurt. I didn't necessarily avoid it. What it was, I won't take all the credit for it. I mean, I'm sure it was a lot of people praying for me. You know, I didn't avoid it. I got caught up too, to an extent, but I was always smart, man. I always just maneuvered a little bit different. I knew that I never operated like a born to lose ass dude. You know what I'm saying? So, and then the generation was different. Like, we would do our thugging at night, and then we'd come in, and when we dealt with our elders, yes, sir, no, ma'am. That's right. We do our work, you know what I'm saying? But then we were different outside the house.
Kept it away from the home.
We kept it away from the home. So there still was kind of that structure, you know, and I was blessed enough to have that structure in my household, because I understand some youngsters, they don't have that, you know, their parents are either like their friends, you know, or there is no parental guidance. They're left to their own devices.
No supervision.
So no supervision. So I had that structure that I could still adhere to and reference back to. So I did the same thing, man. I mean, I got caught up in juvenile. I got arrested at 15, and it was on some serious charges because they were going to certify me. And they were going to, give me what they call
prosecute you as an adult.
Yeah. They were going to certify me as an adult, and then they were going to give me what they call juvenile life. You know what I'm saying? Keep me a juvenile till I was old enough to go to the pen.
Damn.
Yeah. So, I'll be honest. I tell people this all the time. Like, I was thugging and all of that, and when I went for my first hearing, and the judge said, you're a threat to the safety of the community. You're a threat to society. You're a menace. So I wouldn't feel comfortable letting you out. When he said that in front of everybody, I'm like, oh man, that's some bull. All right then, okay. Man, I got back to my little cell. They shut that door on me. I sat on my bed and a tear just trickled down my face, you know what I'm saying? I ain't too proud to tell it. And that was the truth. That was the truth. And that's when I knew. I said, you know what? This ain't it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of these cats that can be in jail like that. You know what I'm saying? So, and then the things that we were charged with was really like, even though they were serious crimes, we didn't have to be doing them. We were just, rebels without a clue. We were just thugging just to be thugging, just because that was cool.
Something to do.
It was something to do, you know? So, and as I got older, that's what made me realize the importance of mentors, because I didn't have anyone at that time to even though my mother was great, you know what I mean? But, a mom can only do so much. She working, she doing her at the same time. But someone to actually map out what the possibilities are. You see what I'm saying? Someone that could say, hey, you know what? You got talent. Do you know that if you keep doing what you're doing in school, you keep going to basketball, you could get a scholarship. You could go to the D League. You could do this. You could do that. You know what I'm saying? There was no one really to map it out and make it real like that, So you know, a lot of times lack of vision is what, you know, and lack of hope and lack of direction is where people go wayward, you know. So I kind of got caught up in that. But when I finally did get released and they put me on house arrest, you know, that was it for me. That, you know, and I'm not going to say that my criminal behavior necessarily stopped, but I got smarter, so to speak, you know. And like I tell people, because I try not to be a hypocrite, you know, when I was hustling, I tell people have a plan. You know what I'm saying? Like you got a lot of cats that was just hustling and trapping and they just doing it for the look and it's something to do. They doing it for the moment.
For the
know?
females.
Yeah, they want the clothes, the jewelry, the cars, but all that's temporary. You know, I actually had a plan and said, okay, you know what? I'm going to invest my money in this. I'm going to invest my money in that. I had a studio at like 19 years old.
Oh, wow.
You know, so, you know, I just took a different approach. I just always was a, you know, deeper thinker, you know.
And who was your first, you know, big, like as far as big player in your life, as far as a mentor? Because I know, like, I can relate to a lot of what you're saying because my mom, you know, single mom, you know, my stepdad, he's a piece of shit. And so I didn't really have a black male role model. So I looked to like dudes in the street and it wasn't until I got to the pen that I found somebody that I felt gave me a sense of pride as a black man to carry myself differently and to feel like I could accomplish things, you know, but it's hard to try to find out on the street, man. Did you find a mentor like that or somebody who kind of inspired you to kind of like as far as a male?
You know, I didn't, I can say this. I know that my Uncle Ed, rest in peace. My Uncle Ed was probably my the most influential male in my life at that time. He was my auntie's husband, and so he was by marriage. But he had a profound impact on me just at the time that he was around in my life. He's my two cousins, my first cousin, Edwin and Jackie. He's their dad, and they stayed with us for a time, you know, right around that 13, 14 age. And man, dude was like the coolest. He was the epitome of masculinity and just a man. He was like James Evans from Good Times, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But hella cool, like, you know, but still, you know, he was still loving and supportive, you know. So it's a lot of things that I learned from watching him. He was a man's man, you know. He was a stand-up dude from Gary, Indiana. So my Uncle Ed had a profound, just in that short time, you know, those 2-3 years had a profound, you know, effect on me. Now, as far as in the streets, the funny thing about it, man, not to be a certain type of way, but I was always mature for my age. So my peers, to some degree, kind of looked to me. You know what I mean? So, and I mean, the big homies that we had, you know, they were kind of doing their thing. You know, they was on bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You know, so we was on our own level of bullshit. But I always felt like I was, you know, even the guys that was on and the OGs in the hood, I always felt like I could be bigger than them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, with that vision above and beyond. And
yeah. You know, so no, not in a sense, unless it's slipping my mind, but no, not in a sense. But now, I mean, naturally, when I got into music and, you know, signing with No Limit and getting with Master P in '95, that, you know, he became that big brother. Okay. You know what I'm saying? In a different effect. I mean, yeah, that changed it all right there. So, yes. So I guess once I got to No Limit, you know, Master P served as that, you know, that elder, kind of
like that mentor figure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess what I'm saying is my Uncle Ed was more in the youth. You know, as I got older, because I signed with No Limit in 95, I think it was 95 or 96. So I was like 17, 18. Okay. So yeah, that would, you know, Master P definitely felt that, you know, at that point.
And what was your first, you know, as far as your first endeavor into like the entrepreneurship? I know you said at 19 you had a studio, which a lot of kids, it's hard for them to imagine to do something like that, but you were already thinking how, you know, how'd you get into that and what, you know, how'd that proceed?
It was necessary, you know, it was necessary. And to keep it all the way a buck, I just remember too, you know, me and my guy, C.E.O, you know, we were hustling, doing our thing, trying to do our music thing. The first, I have to give props to the OG from my hood. His name was Carlos. Carlos gave us $5,000.
Oh wow!
Yeah. He
started.
He ended up going to the feds. Excuse me. Sometime in the early 2000s. But you know, Carlos was doing his thing, and he was messing with my bro's sister at the time. And we looked up to him because Carlos, you know, he was, like I said, he was doing his thing.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? And I remember he came in, he gave us 5 racks in a brown paper bag. He was like, shit, I wasn't gonna do nothing with it, but fuck it off anyway. You know what I'm saying? So y'all do what y'all got to do.
Wow.
And that was big to us.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
When you're young like that, shit.
Man, we was like, damn, like he really did. And we spent every dime and then some on getting our stuff started, the studio and stuff started, you know. So we took it from there, you know what I mean?
Okay.
We took it from there, added to it and did all of that. Because back then, you know, technology was different. Nowadays, you know, these kids, they don't know about the ADATs and different things.
I remember,
like that.
little beat machines and stuff
the
like
DAT
that.
machine
DAT
and all of
machines,
that.
yeah.
So, you know, you had more hard costs. It wasn't just software.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Nowadays, you got Reasons and Fruity Loops. You can do everything on a laptop. You know, back then, it wasn't like that. You had to have, you know, it was on digital tape. So you had to have, them ADAT machines was like $3,000 a piece.
I remember.
You know, and then
You
you
had to
only
be
got
balling.
you only got 8 tracks off of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you wanted to do more than that, you know, because 8 tracks only give you left and right for the beat.
Yeah.
You know, and then you got 6 for the vocals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And God forbid if you wanted to track out the beat and put the snare on the track, you know, you didn't have enough room. So you had to buy multiple ones to get up to 24, 32 tracks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's 3,000 times 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, you know, all of the ancillary things that you needed to use that equipment. You know, you had to have the big mixing board. You don't need that now.
Yeah.
So back then we had hard costs. So that 5,000, it was a definitely, you know, and just the fact that he did it, like we were always grateful for that. And even when he went to the feds, not to put hood business out there, but, you know, it was some shit said about him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, in terms of him going to the feds, that maybe, you know, his behavior wasn't how it should have been, you know, in terms of you know, talking or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it was a dope case, and I don't know because I wasn't on the case with him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hearsay. But even still, with that jacket on him, I still wrote him when he was in the feds. You know what I'm saying? Because I always appreciated that. You know, he kept it 100.
He believed in you guys.
He did it when nobody else did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When nobody else did. So yeah.
And how did you go about getting picked up by No Limit? How, I mean, you being in Kansas, No Limit being from Louisiana.
You know, man, I tell people, people ask me that all the time, and it's a funny story. So it's as simple as this, like how we were talking about before we start filming, you know, a lot of, you know, back in our day, man, it was just that, you know, we didn't have that entitlement thing. Like we figured it out, you know what I'm saying? We went after it. So back then, you know, you had tapes and CDs, and remember they always had the record companies on the back of them.
I used to write them all.
You know,
try
what
to
I'm
get
saying?
on.
You feel what
yeah,
I'm
I
saying?
did say, yeah, just write the address.
So what I did was I learned. Now, mind you, I had never been coached in this. Again, this is common sense. It's just common sense and the desire to want to do better.
Yeah.
So I literally sat down and wrote bios. Now, nobody told me that, oh, you need a bio. I just said, damn, maybe we need to tell them something about ourselves. So I sat down and I would handwrite, not even type, you know what I'm saying? Handwrite, yeah, my name Cord Dog, right? And then my boy, you know what I'm saying? So do the best I could with a 17-year-old mind from Kansas City with no reference point. And then I said, well, they need to know what we look like. So I just literally take pictures. Back then you had to go get them developed.
Yeah, I remember,
shit, you know what I'm saying?
Kodak film.
Yeah, so we took the pictures, you know, okay, this is what we look like. So we made copies of the tapes. What happened was I first started sending them to places like Jive and Atlantic and all that. And I was receiving them back with the stamp on there, we do not accept unsolicited material.
Yeah, I got that before.
So
too.
yeah,
I remember that.
So once I started getting back, I said, well, damn. Again, no reference point. I didn't understand indie major. I didn't understand all of that stuff. So I said, well, let me try to, you know, send it to these small companies, just who I deem to be small. So I sent them to Black Market, No Limit, Rap a Lot, AWOL, In a Minute, you know what I mean? Like all those record companies, just people that I just felt like, oh, you look a little bit smaller. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're not major.
You look kind of small,
yeah.
so maybe, you know, I can get somebody. So everybody who had phone numbers attached to it, I would call and fill up their voicemails. You know, like, yeah, man, my name Cordon from Kansas City. Man, we hot. You know, so that's what I did. So finally, what the story goes is P, you know, I kept filling up his voicemail. Yeah. So he got tired of it. Like, man, who the fuck is this dude keep calling me? So he tells Mr. Servon, man, go get that tape. There's some dude from Kansas City keep fucking calling. Man, go get his fucking tape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he go get the tape and was like, yeah, like they kind of cool, you know what I'm saying? And at the time he was doing Down South Hustlers.
Okay.
So, you know, he called, like literally at that time I was staying with my father, because when I got in all that trouble, the state ended up taking me from my mom and making me go live with my dad. You know, they put me on house arrest at my dad's house. So, no bullshit, I was sitting on the stool, you know what I mean? And the phone rang twice. It rang once, went to the answer machine back then. So it came on again. So I get up and waddle to the phone, right? I had no idea who's calling. So I answer the phone and he say, yeah, can I speak to Courtney? And I'm like, he ain't here. Because it was a voice I didn't recognize.
Yeah.
And my dad's name is Courtney too. So he was like, okay. I said, who this? He said, yeah, tell him P called. And then I caught it. I said, hold on. I said, is this Master P? He said, yeah. I said, no, this is Courtney. He say, man, who? Was you hiding from somebody? You know what I'm saying? You ducking somebody?
You don't know who called.
Yeah. I said, nah, man. I said, man, my dad named Courtney too. I was like, yeah, man, what's going on? And I was standing there with my pants, you know what I'm saying?
Talking on
ankles,
the phone.
Literally, my pants on my ankles. I'm talking on the phone. So, you know, he was like, man, you know, I'm doing this compilation. You know, I'd like to get y'all on it. I'll fly y'all out. And that's how it started.
Wow.
You know, yeah. And so we did the song R.I.P., me, him, and Silkk on Down South Hustlers. And our picture and, you know, everything is on the inside of it and all of that. So, yeah, that's how we hooked up with No Limit.
Wow, that's a great story, man. I know when I first tried to get into the rap game, I did something similar. I used to write, and I was just trying to figure out, man, like, how could I get on? But my thing was my mom kept tripping off the music I was making because I was cussing and stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt guilty, but I'm like, well, damn, they doing it. You know what I mean? So it's great to hear somebody actually made it doing that, man. How'd your rap career go after that?
Well, it went cool. I mean, you know, luckily my people were very supportive, man. My mother was supportive of damn near anything I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even when I started, you know, hustling, doing different things in the street, she still was, you know, kind of like, well, that's what you're going to do. I can remember times where there would be like, you know, drug busts or whatever. And she would call me like, you cool? You know what I mean? I'd be like, yeah, I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, it went good. You know, we had got with No Limit and we recorded a whole album with P, and you know, certain things didn't work out at the time, not pertaining to me, obviously, but it was just, you know, growing pains. We were young. We had no real reference point of the music business at all. You know, at the time we had a manager that was to some degree, he was kind of ill-advising us.
Okay.
And he kind of was rubbing P the wrong way and different things like that. So, you know, it came down to a thing of, you know, it was either I could stay by myself in No Limit as a solo artist, or, you know, I had to do something different with my boy. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a loyal dude. I came with my dude, so I'm gonna leave with him. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't the type of dude to just be like, oh man, I'm gonna go ahead and stay with this No Limit thing. They not feeling you, so you know what I'm saying? I'll get with you later. You know, so me and P always still maintained a relationship, even though after that, I was still able to take the game that I learned from him and that he was doing and do it on my level. So that's when you start seeing the CCG albums independently with my label. You start seeing the Court Dog albums, and I did pretty well with them. Because I you know, I've been around him. You know?
Yeah, so you picked up a lot of games.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and the work ethic and different things like that. So on my level, I was able to, you know, still maintain and build a brand for myself at that time.
Wow. And as you transition from the music, I know, you know, you had your hands on a lot of other stuff. You know, you got involved like in real estate and movies and stuff. You know, how'd that come about?
You know, getting into real estate, I'm gonna be honest with you. It was going back to Carlos, the OG from the hood.
Okay.
I remember Carlos buying houses around the hood. You know what I mean? So a lot of cats in Kansas City, because the cost of living, you know, it's not like here in LA. So a lot of cats that was getting money, they was buying houses. So I literally started buying houses in my mind, thinking that if I did get arrested or go to jail, then I would have a resource to get out of jail. You know, I could put one of my houses up.
That's how you think too.
That was how I was thinking. You know what I mean? So so literally when I bought my first house, I bought it from my homeboy's grandfather. I paid, I think it was $18,000 for it.
Oh shit.
Cash. And so I put another 15 into it, right? Yeah. I was maybe 19 or 20.
Okay.
I put another 15 cash into it. So I remember thinking like, well, damn, I'm in this house, $30-some thousand, and I was like, I'm renting it out for $550 a month. I'm thinking, damn, I'm gonna be forever getting my damn money back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see the win in this. In case I go to jail, but you know. So then I looked at it like, you know, like weed, because that's what I was doing, you know, hustling at the time. So I said, well, damn, this is a volumes thing. So what I need to try to do is get about 10 of these. And then that 10 times whatever I'm getting, that adds up. So that's what I did. So by the time I got to, I think I had maybe 11 houses free and clear. And I was making, for Kansas City, $4,000-5,000 a month. Just off my houses. They were free and clear. Mind you, I knew nothing about equity. I knew.
So you didn't even know you had all that.
I didn't even know I had all that. I'm just looking at the rent, you know, and I'm still looking at, well, damn, I just spent probably about $200,000-300,000 on these houses. So even at $5,000 a month, I'm getting collectively, I'm still gonna be a couple years getting that back. That's how I'm still thinking. But I'm like, I'm straight if I go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So my brother, my half brother, but we don't really say that. We have the same father. He's my brother though. But we, I didn't grow up with my half siblings. You know what I'm saying? So my brother, Robert Brooks, he was already in the real estate. So he laced me with the game, So he hooked me up with a young lady that worked in commercial lending at a bank down there. So we were talking, and she was like impressed. And I kept wondering why she was so impressed, like that I had these houses. And so she was like, wow, you know how much equity you have? I'm like, no.
He had no clue.
No, I was like, but I know what I'm getting a month because, that's how I'm thinking. And so anyway, she laced me and she ended up letting me get a line of credit. So I had a $500,000 line of credit over. And that's when it changed. The light went off. I said, oh, this is something different. You know what I mean? So I just kept expanding on that. You know what I mean? And that's how I was able to attain the properties that I got off of bubbling off of that $500,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, and again, one thing leads to another. Like I tell people, if you just show up and you start, you don't have all the answers, all the resources, but just have a starting point. You'll figure it all out, and the thing is, failure is a part of success. You don't get to success without bumping your head, and what happens is you fail and you get back up, and at some point you master it. And then you get it right and you get to where you're trying to get to. So that's the same thing with real estate. I took some L's in real estate too. Some of it was due to economy. Some of it was due to me just not having the information. You know what I mean? So I had to get it how I had to get it. I got it after I failed at it. You know what I mean? So it's like I did some other moves and some business transactions, and I ended up taking a couple L's. But I learned from it, and then so moving forward, it didn't happen again. You know what I mean? So I got better at it. So that's how I got into the real estate thing, and that bled over into owning a property management company, just by way of, again, you're in that world and you're dealing with those people and that hustler's mentality. And enough investors kept coming at me, saying, hey, you got stuff, man. I got houses in Kansas City. Man, you got an air conditioning guy. Man, you got a plumber. Man, you got an electrician. And I'm like, yeah, I got all that. So then it dawned on me like, man, these people keep
your
asking
resource.
me. Yeah, exactly. They keep asking me about my people. And I'm thinking, so it dawned on me, hey, who watching your stuff there? You know what I mean? Man, nobody, man. I'm trying to do. I said, man, listen, I got all of that. You know what I mean? Because I had my people doing my stuff. You know what I mean?
Watching over your stuff.
Yeah, I had one person. So I basically said, man, I'm gonna form a company and then just pay them, to do what they're already doing for me, for everybody else. So
That's
we end up growing it to, we manage over, almost $10 million worth of assets.
Wow.
Because we got a couple commercial properties and everything. But we probably got like 200 properties in the portfolio. Wow. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. And see, the thing is, like, your education would have stopped at high school?
Stopped at high school. I take that back. I graduated from high school and I went to community college one semester. Yeah.
And then and you done accomplished all that. See, that's what I mean about like applying yourself. And that's like a lot of that is just being street smart and seeing things and being able to be perceptive, because they don't teach that in a book. Ain't no college course gonna teach you how to go get you know, 11 properties at 19.
No, and what I tell people all the time is I don't knock education. There's a place for education, but see, there's a difference between, you know, knowledge and applied knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, education, there's a place for it, but that doesn't always equate to success, because you can have people that have all the education in the world, but they have no hustle, no discipline.
Book smart.
You know, book smart, but they don't know how to apply it. That's a whole different game, you know? So, you know, when you can start with a basis of common sense, and then also, you know, you can be stubborn in your goals, but flexible with your methods, you know what I mean? And you're able to take criticism and take in other perspectives and get to where you're trying to get to. So I think it's just, you know, it's being open. You have to be adroit. You have to be fluid. You have to be able to, you know, go with the flow. You know what I mean? And because it changes. Sometimes it changes. You may think that you want to go in this direction, but you get new information. And you got to be able to switch direction.
Yeah,
you
know can't be so locked in.
Nah. So that's what it was. I mean, and I took the L's, you know, especially even during the, because I always like to tell both sides. You know, I never like to, because that's part of it. You know what I mean? That
ain't just up. You got
no,
it. Yeah, I tell people, yeah.
Because if you try to paint it like that, people would get discouraged. If you just make them think that, oh shit, I just flew into flying. You know what I mean? Like, no, you have to walk. You got to crawl and walk. Then sometime you get knocked down and you got to get back up. You know, so. Especially during that whole the economy crash.
I remember when all that stuff happened.
Yeah, especially if you were in real estate or any type of business that dealt with moving money around. Yeah, you know. And then what I learned was, and this could be a teachable moment for people that want to do that. You know, I had, you know, I was cool liquid. You know, my liquidity was good. And so when the banks, you know, stopped with the credit and all of that, I just said, fuck it, because I'm a hustler. I'm like, I use my own money. I don't wait on nobody.
That's right.
Yeah, but that wasn't the thing to do at the time. You know what I'm saying? So that was the lesson I got. You know, like, man, you got to know when to not feed the monster. You got to know when to just cut your losses and wait it out. You know, so that was what I learned. You know what I mean? So that's a teachable moment. Sometimes, you know, it's not always good to rush to the moment and put your other money up, because a lot of these wealthy people, they don't put their own money.
Other people's money.
They use other people's money. So, you know, I do believe in using some of your money, your resources to maybe get things started. You know, even if it's to get a proof of concept or to get, you know, I believe in that, but to solely fund, unless you have it to lose and gamble with, unless you have it like that. But so, you know, that's what I learned. And I think surrounding yourself with people that, you know, I always say that I try to be the bottom of who I surround myself with. I need to be the brokest, you know, I need to be the person with the least information.
You
know,
can learn.
Yeah, because, you know, your vibe attracts your tribe, you know what I mean? So I think if you know, you keep yourself surrounded by people you can learn from and people that you know, motivate you and support you. And then, you know, as you get older and more mature, you understand the power of energy too, you know, because some people can be good people and you like them, but just depending on where they are in their lives, you know, their decisions and how they think and how they do things sometimes can weigh on you. You know what I'm saying? And it can be a distraction, you know. So, you know, having the right people around you is important. You know, I learned that early too.
And how do you get into like acting in the movies? Because I know you've done some stuff with that too. You know, some movie stuff.
Well, when I first got out to LA 15 years ago, that was kind of the plan. I was kind of making an exit out of music just because I was becoming tired. I had done what I was going to do in music. I had that real conversation with myself. You remember Pulp Fiction? When Ving Rhames told Bruce Willis, if you were going to make it, you would have made it by now. You know what I mean?
I remember that shit.
Yeah. You know, and so I had that talk with myself, and not that I didn't make it, but in terms of the level, you know, I wasn't no Lil Wayne and nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So I knew that, you know, I was round in my late 20s, and I said, damn, I need to start thinking about other things. But naturally, being a creative and being a creative person, you know, I could draw really well as a kid. And coming from, you know, I mean, being able to draw, I used to write poems from my mom. It's a natural transition to go into some type of written expression with rap. Then from rap, it's natural to transition into acting, you know, because it's still kind of in the same vein of creativity. So it was natural for me to do that. So when I moved out here, I started auditioning and doing different movies, and you know, and it was just, you know, I was cool. I had success in other arenas that was able to sustain me, where I didn't have to, you know, be working a job.
You weren't like the starving actor out here trying to wait tables.
Man, listen, let me tell you, I truly believe that I used to get parts because I didn't care.
You didn't care. Yeah,
I didn't care.
That's when you get them.
It was fun for me. Go, and then I'll be honest with you, I was pulling up in my Benz or Maserati, whatever at the time. I had more money. I was doing better than the producers. You know what I mean?
They look like, what are you doing auditioning for this shit? Yeah.
So I pull up and I didn't have all that weight. Like, oh, this got to be it.
Yeah.
This is gonna
make or break. Yeah.
I'm like, shit, I'm good. It don't matter if y'all hire me or not. And there was times I got parts that I just wanted to see if I could get it, and I didn't even do it.
Wow. Yeah.
I didn't even do it because I knew, because once I learned how tedious shooting was, I was like, nah, I don't want to be on set 12, 14 hours.
I ain't got the time.
I'm cool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Thanks. I'm glad I got it. You know, y'all gonna have to go with somebody else.
Yeah.
So, but being around that, it opened my eyes up again. That entrepreneurship. I started looking. I started asking questions. I started saying, man, what kind of camera is that? So why y'all do this? So why y'all move the camera? Why y'all move the lights? What kind of lights is it? You know what I mean? I started asking questions.
Mental notes.
Man, you know, just learning, like, and I'm looking at the people like, man, you don't look like you know a whole lot and you doing this.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, man, I could do this, you know? So that's where that started at. That's when I started saying, man, there's a place for me behind the camera.
So now that you done got your feet wet with the you know, the movie bug and, you know, behind the scenes, what are some of the things that you're doing now with the industry?
Well, right now, going back just a little history, the first movie that I had produced, man, was Young American Gangsters, a movie called Young American Gangsters with me and Cat Williams and Lawrence Hilton Jacobs.
Okay.
I put my own money up. See, again.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
So yeah, you know,
did it again.
Did it again. You know what I mean? I didn't lose, but I could have. So I literally spent probably over $100,000 on that movie, and it was a good experience. It was the first time I was the lead and executive producer, and I've told this story. I faked it through the whole movie, and this is why I tell people all you gotta do is just show up and start. I didn't know that much about, you know, the production side of it at that time. I mean, I was pretty well versed in terms of being a talent, being an actor, but being the executive producer and being the man in charge. So I had a whole crew that was looking at me for the answers. So when they would come to me and ask me this technical shit, I fake it. They be asking me shit about, so we didn't think that, you know, this with the script and the lights and the camera and we gonna do this. And I'd be like, okay. I'd be like, I mean, what do you think? You know?
And flip it back.
And then when they would give me the answer, I'd be like, yeah, I think we should do that. That's what I'm saying. See what we should do. And I would feed it back to them.
I do.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I was learning at the same time. I was learning. That's what I was doing. You know what I mean? I did that the whole movie. We shot like 2 weeks. I did that with the whole movie. So, so once I did that, I'm sitting in my house. I'm looking at the movie once we got it all edited up. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I did this. Then it dawned on me, how the hell I'm going to get my money back? You know what I'm saying? It never even, I don't know why I didn't think about that.
Distribution and all that.
Yeah, minor oversight. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking, how am I going to get my money back? So I'm like, damn, I knew nothing. But so my guy, Ken Shea, who's actually a production partner of mine now, he said, man, you can come over to Cannes Film Festival. So I said, shit, cool. Let's go to France. So I went over to Cannes.
Oh,
you know?
shit, just like that.
I went over to Cannes. I spent about $6,000, went over to Cannes. And I mean, back then I still had braids and shit. So they looking at me. Yeah, they looking at me like, who the fuck is this? You know what I mean? So I go over there. I wind up getting distribution for my film. And the funny thing about it was, man, when them people showed me the paperwork, they were literally around the corner from my house over here in the States.
Wow.
So I said, damn, I done spent all this money to get distribution with a company I could have walked to.
Wow.
You know,
went across the world.
Literally. Went across the world. I mean, it was a great experience. But so I ended up recouping my money for that, you know. But, you know, that was the learning curve. You know,
And you did it.
I did it. But now, you know, giving game, what I would have did differently is I would have taken that same $100,000, put it into an account and used that money to attract other money. You see what I'm saying?
Create an investment fund.
Yeah. And then once I got my mark, I would have took my 100 back out. You know what I'm saying? And use other people's money.
That's
you
right.
know? So, you know, that's a teachable moment. You know, I learned that in hindsight. So then, I went into producing other things, and that's where we are now. Like right now, I have 3 projects that I'm doing. We did the Architects of Gangsta Rap, which is basically we shot the pilot with Master P. Naturally, it's the first, but we got Jay Prince, we got Cedric Singleton, we got Luther Campbell, we got Suave House, Tony Draper. So it basically highlights, the
OGs of the game.
OGs of the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Paying homage.
That's right.
Showing these youngsters, giving them a real reference point of what, it is to be a boss. And there was no reference point when these people did it. See, everybody is independent now, but back in that day, there was really no reference point.
Yeah, majors are trying to muscle everybody else.
Yeah. So you had people like even Suge. I mean, Suge and Baby, Master P. You had people go in here and tell the quote unquote the white man like, hey, this is what I'm gonna give you. You know what I mean? Because we're the talent, we're the brand. So they basically, took that street savvy and they incorporated that into their business acumen, and that's why they were able to take over the game like that. And they set the stage for people like myself and, other people, the Rick Rosses of the world, the Yo Gottis, the people that's taking that same blueprint. Even Nipsey Hussle just said it about Master P. Like, he don't get enough credit. I've been saying that for years about bro.
Yeah, so I agree with you, man. Master P, a lot of times people don't give him the credit as far as what he's accomplished and how he kind of opened the door for like Cash Money, a lot of these other guys to come in and now become these independent moguls. What are some of the things you're doing as far as in the music? Because I know you got some other projects going on too besides having produced movies. What are some other stuff you're working on?
Well, like I was saying earlier, I have the Architects of Gangsta Rap TV show. I have Cash Cars KC, which is a pilot that I shot in my hometown, Kansas City, with Desmond Logan. I really believe in that. That's going to be a hot TV show. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised with that. I also have, I've been sitting back, I've been retired from rap in terms of being a performer for 12 years now, maybe 10 years or so. So, I've been working with P with No Limit Forever in executive capacity and whatever other capacity he's needed me in. But I just decided to throw my hat in the ring, So I got this new compilation album that I'm doing, Boomarang Volume 1 and 2. So Boomarang Volume 1 is for the streets. So, we got Blaq-N-Mild on the production, got Krazy. From No Limit. We got great features on there. I mean, it's coming together so awesome. I have my nephew, Royce J. He signed to me, to my label, Tru Muscle Entertainment / No Limit. I have another little guy named Kid Carolina. Man, crazy. Like, these youngsters that I'm working with, man, they the future. They the it's the sound of now, but it ain't that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So I have that, and then also, I have I ventured off into, the fitness world. So I have the protein powder, Tru Muscle Sports. You can go to TruMuscleSports.com where I have the protein powders, the pre-workouts, different things like that. So, that was actually something, as we were saying, in terms of P not getting enough credit. And mind you, let me say this, P don't trip off of shit like that. You know what I mean? For him, he don't trip off nothing like that. But us that understand and that appreciate him, because a lot of times people, when they gone, then we want to give them the accolades.
After the fact.
Give them their flowers. But, the real one, shout out to Nipsey, we understand his genius. And I'm fortunate enough to have been right next to this man for 20-something years. And even yesterday in the studio, sometimes I have to take a step back from the norm and be like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I'm actually chopping it up and getting advice. And whatever we working out as a family, in No Limit, in terms of the direction of my project, he's telling me the truth, he's giving me game, giving me advice, and this is information people would pay for, but because we're friends, I have it right there. So, you don't take that for granted. So, so he's the reason, or one of the reasons why I got into the fitness thing. Because when we would travel, people would see my physique and they would always ask me, well, what do you take? What do you take? And I would run down a laundry list of shit, And so he told me one time in the airport, he was like, man, you need to be telling these people you take something you own.
That's right.
And I said, right. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's where the Tru Muscle Sports started right there. So, and he supported me on that. You know, he was like, hey, man, because, you know, he owns that, that TRU, you know. So he was like, man, you run with it. Do what you got to do. You know, he actually helped me find the company, you know, to get it done and different things like that. So I've been doing that, growing that, you know, and it's been doing well. It's been doing well. I mean, we've recently gotten into women's leggings and, you know, apparel and different things like that too.
Oh, wow. That's great, man. You know, I consider it an honor to have you as a friend, you know what I mean?
I appreciate
and to
it,
be able
likewise.
to have and establish this relationship and just being able to sit down and chop it up with you, man. Because, you know, a lot of times we catch each other in the gym, we be bullshitting in traffic or whatever, but, you know, to be able to sit down and have a conversation and to get your backstory and to be able to share this with our fans so that they can get an idea that, you know, hey, anything is possible. I think it's a blessing, man. You know, what would be something you would tell a young entrepreneur, a young cat out there now trying to come up in the game, trying to hustle, trying to make something happen for himself?
I would say, man, you know, I would say just keep it simple. I mean, everything you want is on the other side of fear. You know, a lot of times people are scared of failure. Some people are scared to succeed, you know. You know, that win that you looking for is right on the other side of that L you think you scared to take. You know what I'm saying? So I think just show up. And then too, as I've gotten older, you know, study your craft, you know, find out, you know, be well versed in what it is you're trying to do. Get the knowledge, you know. You have the internet, you have, you know, people around you can seek out, learn what it is that you're trying to do, you know. That's it. Try to get the information and then work ethic, you know, stay consistent. You're going to fail. It's going to be hard. That's the reality. You're going to fail, you know. And when I say that, I say that from experience. You are going to fail. That's part of it. You can't get to success without going through failure. But you have to learn from it and keep going, you know, and discipline, you know, stay consistent, you know, and stay humble, because you have to stay teachable. No matter how much you think you know, there's always someone that knows more. There's always a better way to do it. I was in the gym one time in Golds, and I remember this old fella coming over to me, you know, and he was commenting on my physique, you know, giving me a compliment, and he was telling me about what I was doing, and he was tweaking it. I'm a humble dude, so I took his information, and I told him thank you, you know, and then he pointed up to the wall, and he was up on the wall in there. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he was up on the wall. Wow. But imagine if I had played him like, oh, you old ass dude, you don't know what the hell you talking about. But I learned something from that dude that day. So, I mean, you have to be like a sponge. You have to stay coachable, stay teachable. And my basketball coach told me one time, he said, you know, because I had a lot of talent, but, you know, I had an ego too. And he said, you know, I'd rather take a player with half the talent that'll listen, opposed to a player that has all the talent in the world and you can't tell him nothing.
That's right.
You know, so, you know, you have to stay fluid, you have to stay coachable, teachable, and still, you know, but you can still have your vision, you know what I mean? But again, as I always say, you can be stubborn in your goals and flexible in your methods. So, you know, just remain humble, and that's it, man. And just show up, just try. That's it, just try.
Man, that's great advice. Hey, y'all, you know, I can't really add anything to that. You know, Big Court, he put it down, and I learned a lot today. You know, this man is very accomplished. He's the inspiration to me, and, you know, you can learn from anybody. Fresh Out Lifestyle, thank you for tuning in. Big Court, man, I really appreciate your time, man.
Right on, bro, right on.
Hey, you guys stay tuned, and we'd love to hear your comments, and make sure you subscribe. Big Hurt, we're out.
Oh yeah, I put that on my gang. I put that on my gang.
Lockdown's over. Get your yard time in. Exclusively at FreshOutSeries.com.